Conversating? Conversating with Pops and Ade.
Yep, conversating with Pops and Ade.
Well, I'm Peter J. Harris.
And I'm Adenike A. Harris. And this is Conversating with Pops and Ade.
Conversating with Pops and Ade.
Let's go.
Let's get started.
What up, Pops?
Hey, now, what's going on?
Happy birthday to you.
Yes, the next one around the sun.
Happy birthday.
Oh, my God. The singing. Okay. I don't think anybody signed in on that.
Or that. I can say, like, I can do Stevie Wonder's version.
I
can't do it because I can't afford to pay Stevie money.
That's right. Look, you don't need any more money from us.
Oh, man. Welcome back to season 2.
Yeah, season 2.
Pops and Ade. This go round, we are virtual. Hello, pandemic. It kind of, everyone have to do things virtual. But for us, we're doing it virtual because I moved, Dad. I left Los Angeles, so I am now 2,000 miles away from you. How you feel?
Yes. Sad, but good. You know what I'm saying? I'm grown. I can handle it. I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? Well, because we did it the right way. I mean, we planned it out. There was no trauma or drama, and except the larger social, pandemic setting of society. But we drove across country.
In the middle of the election, because that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a lot of pressure, but we handled it, met some interesting people, and we drove cross country. So that made it easier. It was a lot of work, though. Woo, pushing that accelerator.
And season 2 is here with this first episode because this season we are expanding from 10 episodes and we're going to 12 episodes. And we have a few guests that we are more than excited to bring on. So because of our guests, because of the virtual, we've decided to also record these conversations so that we can have a visual to go with the audio of our podcast. So for those of you who get to watch this, hi, welcome to Conversating with Pops and Ade season 2. So,
season 2.
Let's get into it. What I wanted to talk about with you now, we are, 2021? 2018, you and I did a TEDx Pasadena talk, and you got the opportunity to use your most infamous word, victorize.
That's right. That's right.
TEDx talk. So I'd like to know, or I'd actually just like you to tell people where that came from. What was your motivation? What's the background of this situation?
Originality. There was no background. There was no history. I had never said the word at all, ever, prior to saying it in the car in your Honda Civic on the way across from Atlanta to Los Angeles.
In 2011.
2011. So, I think the goal was simply to just give you a pep talk because you were making this big transition to begin some deep, excavating and healing work with me, but also you were about to work with me to write your thesis for your master's. And I was just trying,
We were already in it. We were on the tail end of completing my thesis.
Okay. Yeah.
Still got my master's in 2011. We were just on the tail end of deep in those last.
That's true. That's true. We had to do some face-to-face. But for me, I was simply trying to celebrate that we were going to do the work. We're going to continue to do the work. And I remember just saying, as we was on some highway, I think it was Interstate 10, somewhere outside of Louisiana or whatever. And I just said, it's time to victorize this thing. It's time to really, it does sound silly, but it hit me to just say it. We wanted a victory, of course, but really on the real, it's just saying, take that word and capitalize it. Take that word. Say it again. And that's right.
To victorize. You didn't want to just have a victory, like the final resolution we had.
That's right.
You really were guiding me towards the action of victory, right? How do you create victory?
That's right.
And of course, I looked at you like it was crazy because I was like, bruh, that's not a word.
Yeah, but see, that's the deep thing about words is that if you find their power, it doesn't matter what the dictionary is always including new words.
Right.
You know, every year
is now, I think, in the dictionary.
Well, of course it is. I mean, but it's always been a word in its own way. And if the further back in history you go, you see the strange constructions of language and sentences, just using English as an example. So if we had other languages under our tongue, I bet in Spanish there's changes there. I mean, certainly Mexican folks from Mexico speak Spanish with a different vibe than people from Spain, blah, blah, blah. But certainly Puerto Rico, Cuba, etc. So the thing to me that I wanted to emphasize in this first episode is that VICTORIZE is all caps. It is giving you permission, giving ourselves permission to actually generate the energy that's necessary to confront difficulty, to explore the difficulty, to get mad at the stuff that's making you mad, so that you can say to yourself, however you say it, prayer, meditation, walking, dancing, all of the ways that we can do this, therapy, etc., that whatever I'm dealing with, I'm gonna victorize it.
You want victorize?
I'm gonna jump into it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna embrace it. I'm gonna not let the discombobulation of the ugliness or the challenge or the difficulty to throw me off my game. Because if you get thrown off your game, that's part of it too, as ironically. But if you stay on the mindset that I'm going to be 100% plus in this thing, in this deep meditation, in this deep conversation, in this deep transcendent work that I'm doing, I'm going to victorize. Yeah. So, you heard it first. Then you heard it again on stage and made me look silly. What do you mean? Does it mean anything now to you any more than it meant before?
I mean, I could be a little obtuse and say no, but I know in the reality that I do know what you meant. Like when you said it, I got it. I definitely looked at you sideways because I was like, bruh, that's not a word. Like you making up stuff. But I understood that you meant, take what poison that was given to you and turn it into power, turn it into a victory, turn it into, this master's thesis. Like at the time,
right.
It was about the thesis, because I think we had just hit, if we were in New Orleans, I had a back spasm. I couldn't, I was like, this is the worst trip ever. But you were reminding me, keep pushing forward. So to me, I look at VICTORIZE as meaning take the victory and it's yours. Make it yours. A victory is not just because you've achieved something, right? It's not a complete.
Yes.
It is actually the steps and the actions to get to the next level. Because I also look at VICTORIZE and victorizing is a situation. It's not completed. It's not over. Whereas a victory is a resolution. When you've achieved a victory, you've achieved something. You've gotten to the point, and then you're like, "Yay, we won!" or "I achieved." Right. Whereas if you are victorizing,
that's right,
and you have victorized, it's like you're activating the action of achieving the things that you want to achieve, and it really doesn't necessarily have to end. It's still it's this uphill motion, and that to me is what VICTORIZE means. That to me is what rising means.
Yeah, it keeps you engaged and gets you beyond the thing that initiated or incited, particularly if it's traumatic, but it gets you beyond the trauma. It doesn't say that you should hide from trauma. It doesn't say that you should just soften your approach to just be passively receiving even the reverberations of trauma. Yeah. But it instead it says, "Oh no! Every day, if I get breath, I'm gonna victorize. Yep. If the phone rings, I answer it because I don't know whether the victorizing will come through that person and his or her voice. Somebody shoot me an email, I don't know who they are. You know what I mean? I answer it. I mean, I open it, read it, absorb it, respond. It's to me." the way you stay on the balls of your feet, so to speak. It's whatever symbol or metaphor you want to use to make yourself able to pivot, successfully. Well, see, old ball player, the best coaches used to teach us, especially in basketball, at least the triple threat. You haven't lost your dribble. So you can either dribble past somebody, you can shoot, you know what I mean? Or you can pass the ball. Because that's how it is.
Break it down to the people.
Victorizing is a dynamic state of existence to me. You know what I mean? Because how else do you face trauma if you don't have that powerful dedication to the transcendence that you're after? You know what I mean?
I do. I get it.
Yeah. So how do you find yourself trying to fight the word still because it's not a word, or do you work with it now?
So the funny thing with you, and I think it's just us thing now, we have so many words that we've made up, or so many experiences that are just us. We use them. No one else would get it, but it makes sense to me. So now I don't fight it. Like, I might even say it to someone else and they'll have no idea. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh man, we just victorized the situation. They'll be like, what? And I'm like, oh, it's a PopsnAde thing. Like, it's not for everybody. Right. But now I think, and my hope is that once they've understood where it came from and why and what it means, particularly to us, and how it can be used, maybe they'll start to use it. Maybe we'll start randomly hearing people like hashtag VICTORIZE out in here. Like, and then
somebody be selling a t-shirt at an old Versus concert.
All I'm telling you right now, you better trademark that joint. I'm telling you, Pop, go on and trademark it, because I do recognize the meaning of it. So for me, no, I'm not gonna avoid it. It's still funny to me, but it's such a unique thing because, I mean, there are lots of words that you have made up, but you make them up and relate to the conversation and experience that we are having with one another.
That's another podcast episode. Them other words.
All the words that Pops makes up. Yes, that's a different episode.
But honestly, I wanted to add this to and throw this into the mix. So like we say, everybody doesn't have to operate the way we operate. Everybody doesn't have to be challenged or traumatized the way our family got traumatized. What I'm saying here, if you can victorize on the heels of the kinds of trauma that we're transcending, think of how much more functional victorizing might be for something that's difficult but not so traumatic.
Right.
Think of how maybe you're just frustrated at your job or something. I mean, that's serious business. Certainly, we've seen that on the heels of the pandemic, and it's still not over, obviously. But, everything doesn't have to start from that worst case scenario before victorizing can be a beneficial mindset, a beneficial term, a beneficial set of actions, and move. I move. So for me, as we talked about the TED stage. I mean, I was so nervous that they had to tell me in the practice, don't rock, bruh. Because when I'm reading poems, I'm like rocking. I can hear music. And I even with the training that we got from those great folks, I know in the middle of that experience, somewhere in there, I felt myself kind of like,
you
pulsing.
Rock.
I was rocking. So I would say
it was rocking. Like
I was rocking. That's funny.
So the irony of it is, in your nervousness, you rocked. But in my nervousness, I didn't feel, when I got on the stage in the circle, I wasn't really nervous in that moment. I was nervous all backstage. I was like, oh my God, what am I about to do? Am I going to remember everything? Because I've never memorized anything except for this TED Talk. But walking out on that stage and planting my feet on that circle, I felt the most grounded that I've ever felt giving.
Wow.
Like I didn't move. I was so stoic. I just was like, boom. And I just sat and I just remember just standing there and I just spoke. But then being next to you, you was like this. And you was doing all of this. And I was like, stop moving, bro.
I was making you seasick, huh?
But I will say visually, when we finally saw it, it was beautiful. It made me feel confident. Like it literally was the epitome, I think, of that word, that action of victorizing, right?
Yes, I was thinking the same way.
Stage, and we both victorize in our own unique ways through the same trauma. And I think that's powerful. That's beautiful for me.
I don't think I ever told you this though, seriously. So in the middle, I almost forgot everything about 5 minutes in because somebody laughed at something that I thought they would be seriously like, ooh, or whatever. But when I started remembering and it started flooding back in. So, we both know actors and whatnot. I've often heard actors talk about how it gets in the body, the movements, the business that they have to do as the character. And I remember when it flooded back into me and I said, oh, I got this. That's when I began to really gesture and feel like I knew that I was going to get to the end and we were going to say what we had to say. And for me, I agree. So at that moment, I began to feel like victorizing was rising. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Victorizing because then I said, you know what? I'm up here now. Let's stop tripping. This is a story I want to tell about this journey. This is a victory I want to claim. I want to illustrate and demonstrate and embody this victory of a grown, dude who was instructed by his child, inspired by his child. And I wanted to make sure I shared with this audience and with you in a way that you could really feel it, that I got victorized by all the great men in my life who looked out for me. And they told me, bro, hold on, win. Because we was all ball players. And it was all metaphorizing. There I go. There I go again. So anyway. So I just want to say victorizing is a dynamic, multi-dimensional, vital force. It's way beyond a vocabulary word for me.
Come through now. All right. Well, on that note, you know what? I think we just going to let y'all go victorize on your own. I think
that's right.
Well,
indeed.
It definitely. So as always, Pops, thank you for giving me all your new
words. I'm glad we could do it. Let's get this season underway.
Absolutely. And have a happy birthday. I'm sorry that I'm not there with you.
Of course.
I love you and you 66.
I will. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I told your business.
It's all good. Right. I'm not hiding.
You're not. All right, man. We'll talk with you soon. And thanks everybody for joining. And welcome to season 2.
You've been listening to Conversating with Pops and Ade. We're your hosts, Peter Harris.
And I'm Adenike Harris. Please, wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe, share with your friends, and give us feedback. Also, don't forget to follow us at our Instagram page at PopsnAde, PopsnAde. Facebook, we are Peter and Adenike Harris. And you can also find us on YouTube, where you can see other videos of work that we have done, including our TED Talk entitled Healing versus Retaliation. Thanks again, and come back soon.